Our son and daughter-in-law happily flew off for a luxurious vacation in Las Vegas, and they left us with their mute 9-year-old daughter. As soon as the door closed behind them, the child, who hadn't spoken a single word in 4 years, suddenly screamed, "Grandpa, Grandma, don't eat that pie Mom baked. You won't believe what she's planning." We froze, and then we realized the betrayal would be punished very cruelly.
Before continuing, subscribe to the channel and write in the comments what time it is in your region right now.
My name is Harold Coleman. I'm 64 years old, and I've spent 32 of those years behind a stove at Desert Oasis, one of the finest restaurants in Phoenix, Arizona. Head chef. Retired now, but I still consult for the young ones who think they know everything about a kitchen. They don't. Nobody does until they've burned themselves 100 times and ruined 1,000 dishes. But this story isn't about cooking. It's about family, and betrayal, and a 9-year-old girl who everyone thought couldn't speak. My wife Virginia and I live at 4721 East Cactus Road in Paradise Valley. Nice house. We worked 40 years for it. Virginia was a pediatric nurse at Phoenix Children's Hospital for 28 years. That's where she learned to read people, especially children. Kids can't hide their feelings the way adults do. Their eyes tell everything. I met Virginia 40 years ago at the restaurant where I was just a line cook back then. She walked in with her friends, laughing about something, and I swear I forgot how to breathe. Still forget sometimes when she smiles that certain way. We got married 6 months later. Everyone said it was too fast. 40 years later, we're still proving them wrong. Virginia tends to her roses and her cactus garden in our backyard. I build things in my workshop, furniture, toys for the grandkids. We drink coffee together every morning on the patio, watching the Arizona sun paint the mountains orange. That's the life we built. That's what someone tried to take from us. Our son Derek is 38 now. He sells cars at a dealership downtown. He used to be a good kid. I remember when he was 10, running to meet me at the door every time I came home from a late shift, asking what I cooked that day, begging for stories about difficult customers. He had this laugh that could fill up a room. That laugh disappeared about 5 years ago, right around the time he married Tiffany. Now, I'm not the kind of man who blames the wife for everything. I've seen plenty of marriages where both people are equally terrible. But Virginia noticed it first. She always does. "There's something cold behind her eyes," Virginia told me after the first family dinner. "Like she's calculating something." I told her she was being dramatic. I was wrong. Tiffany is 35, hasn't worked in 4 years, used to manage a beauty salon. Now she manages Derek, and I mean that literally. The boy can't make a decision without looking at her first. It's like watching someone operate a puppet. 3 years ago, Tiffany started making comments about our house. Little things at first. "It must be so hard to maintain such a big place at your age. Have you thought about downsizing? This neighborhood has gotten so expensive. It seems unfair that you two rattle around in this huge house, while families with children can barely afford apartments." I'm a sarcastic man. It's my defense mechanism. So I'd say something like, "Well, Tiffany, when you work for 40 years, you too can rattle around wherever you please." Virginia would squeeze my hand under the table. Her way of saying, "Don't start. Not worth it." But it was worth noting. Then there's Lily, our granddaughter, 9 years old, with eyes that see too much and a mouth that, according to her parents, doesn't work. Selective mutism, Tiffany explained when Lily was 5. The doctors say she might never speak normally. It's very tragic. She understands everything, but she just can't. For 4 years, we accepted this. Lily would come visit, and she'd sit quietly, drawing pictures, playing with the toys I made her. Sometimes she'd look at me with this expression I couldn't quite read. Virginia said it looked like she wanted to scream. I thought Virginia was projecting. I was wrong about that, too. It was a Friday, one of those perfect Arizona afternoons where the heat isn't quite punishing yet. Derek and Tiffany showed up unannounced, which should have been my first warning. They never visit without calling. Tiffany likes to make sure we're properly prepared to receive her. "Dad! Mom! We have amazing news!" Derek was practically bouncing. I hadn't seen him this excited since I couldn't remember when. "We won a trip to Las Vegas!" Tiffany beamed, all teeth and lipstick. "A whole weekend at the Bellagio. Can you believe it?" I could believe it. I just couldn't believe they were telling us like it mattered to us. Congratulations, Virginia said warmly. She's always warm, even when she's suspicious. There's just one tiny problem, Tiffany continued, and here it came. We leave tonight, and we have no one to watch Lily. I looked at my granddaughter standing behind them. She was clutching a small backpack, her eyes fixed on the floor. Something about her posture bothered me. She looked afraid. Of course she can stay, Virginia said immediately, already moving toward Lily with open arms. We'd love to have her. Oh, and I made this for you. Tiffany thrust a glass dish toward me. Cherry pie. I know how much you love homemade desserts, Harold. It's my grandmother's recipe. I took the pie. It smelled fine. Looked fine. But something in the way Tiffany watched me take it made my chef's instincts twitch. Very thoughtful, I said. Make sure you both eat it tonight, she added. Cherries don't keep well? They left in a hurry after that. Hugs for Lily that looked more like warnings than affection. Derek barely looked at his daughter. Tiffany's eyes lingered on the pie one last time. The door closed behind them, and that's when everything changed. Lily was standing in the middle of our living room. Her backpack had fallen to the floor. Her hands were shaking, and her lips that hadn't formed a single word in 4 years, were moving. I watched, frozen as my granddaughter's mouth opened.
In 28 years of nursing, I learned to read the silent language of children, the way a toddler pulls at her ear when it's infected, the way a boy looks away when asked about a bruise, the way fear lives in a child's body even when their face shows nothing. Lily had been speaking that silent language for years. I just hadn't been listening carefully enough. When the door closed behind Derek and Tiffany that Friday, I watched my granddaughter transform. It was like watching ice crack. Her whole body shuddered. Her hands flew to her mouth. And then she screamed, "Grandpa! Grandma! Don't eat that pie Mommy made! She planned something horrible!" I think my heart stopped. Beside me, Harold made a sound like someone had punched him in the stomach. For a moment, none of us moved. The words hung in the air, impossible and undeniable. Lily's voice, clear, articulate, desperate. Not the voice of a child with selective mutism. The voice of a child who had been forced into silence. I moved first. I always do in moments like this. Harold is action and sharp words. I am softness and strategy. I knelt in front of Lily, keeping my movements slow, my face calm. "Sweetheart," I said gently, "can you tell us more? It's okay. You're safe here." She was crying now, 4 years of silence breaking apart into sobs. "Mommy made me promise never to talk when I was with you. She said if I ever said one word, she would—" Lily's voice cracked. "She would make sure I never saw you again. She said she'd send me away to a special school where bad children go." Harold's fist clenched. I reached back without looking and found his hand. Squeezed. "Not now. Let her talk." "But I heard them," Lily continued, words tumbling out like water from a broken dam. "Last night, Mommy and Daddy were fighting about money again. They always fight about money. And Mommy said she put something in the pie. Something from Grandma's medicine cabinet. She said she took it when she visited last month. She said when you both eat it tonight, you'll fall asleep and won't wake up. And then everything will be theirs." The room went cold despite the Arizona heat. I felt Harold's hand trembling in mine. My mind, trained by decades of medical emergencies, was already racing through possibilities. My medicine cabinet. What had I been prescribed recently? The sleeping pills? The benzodiazepines for my occasional insomnia in high enough doses? "Harold," I said quietly, "put the pie in the refrigerator. Don't touch it with your bare hands. Use gloves." He nodded, his face pale, and moved toward the kitchen like a man walking through a nightmare. I pulled Lily into my arms. She felt so small, so fragile, so incredibly brave. "You saved us," I whispered into her hair. "You brave, wonderful girl. You saved our lives." "I was so scared," she sobbed. "I'm not supposed to talk. Mommy will be so angry." "Your mommy," I said, and I heard the steel in my own voice, "will never hurt you again. I promise." Later that evening, after Lily had finally fallen asleep in the guest room, Harold and I sat at the kitchen table. The pie sat in the refrigerator, evidence of something I still couldn't fully comprehend. "Virginia," Harold's voice was rough. "I found something else." He placed a folded note on the table. It had been in Lily's backpack, tucked into a side pocket. I unfolded it. The handwriting was Tiffany's. I recognized the careful, controlled cursive. "If you talk, you know what happens." 7 words. 7 words to terrorize a child into 4 years of silence. "I'm going to call Marcus," Harold said. "Marcus Reynolds, an old friend, an elder law attorney. We need to document everything. The pie, Lily's testimony, this note." "Yes," I agreed, "but carefully. We can't let them know we know. Not yet." Harold looked at me, and in his eyes I saw the same cold fury I felt in my own heart, but beneath it was something else. Trust. Partnership. 40 years of knowing exactly how to be strong for each other. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "I'm thinking," I said slowly, "that they expected to come back from Las Vegas to find us dead. They expected to inherit this house, our savings, everything. They expected Lily to stay silent forever. They underestimated our granddaughter. They underestimated all of us." Harold reached across the table and took both my hands in his. His grip was warm, steady. "So what do we do?" I thought about Tiffany's cold smile, about Derek, my son, who had let himself become this, about Lily sleeping upstairs, finally free to speak, but still trapped in fear, about the pie in our refrigerator that was meant to kill us. "We don't panic," I said. "We don't confront. We document, we strategize, we build a case so airtight that they'll never see it coming. And when we're ready, we bring everything down on their heads." Harold smiled. It wasn't a warm smile. It was the smile of a man who had spent decades controlling fire and was about to remind someone why you don't play with flames. "That's my girl," he said. We sat there for a moment, hands clasped, planning. The kitchen clock ticked. Somewhere upstairs our granddaughter slept peacefully, and in my mind the outline of justice began to take shape. Later, while Harold was checking on Lily, I went through her backpack more thoroughly. Hidden in the lining, I found something else. A second note, crumpled and worn. Different handwriting this time. A child's handwriting, Lily's own. "Dear Grandma and Grandpa, I love you. I wish I could tell you. Mommy is bad. Please help me. Please." She had been asking for help for years, silently, desperately, and we had been too blind to see. I pressed the note to my heart and made a vow. No more blindness, no more silence. They wanted to destroy our family. They had no idea what this family was capable of when we fought back together.
I keep replaying that moment in my head. The door barely closed, the sound of their car pulling away still hanging in the air, and then Lily's voice, a voice I'd never heard in 4 years, cutting through the silence like a knife. "Grandpa, Grandma, don't eat that pie Mommy made. She planned something horrible." I stood there like an idiot. Frozen? My own granddaughter had just spoken for the first time since she was 5, and she was warning us that her mother wanted us dead. That's not something you process quickly. That's not something you ever fully process. Virginia handled it better than me. She always does in moments of crisis. While I was still trying to remember how to breathe, she was already kneeling in front of Lily, gentle as always, coaxing out the truth with that soft voice that used to calm terrified children in the hospital. But I had work to do. The first call I made was to Marcus Reynolds. He's been my friend for over 20 years. We met at a charity golf tournament, and despite my complete inability to play golf, we hit it off. Marcus is an elder law attorney, which is a fancy way of saying he protects old people from getting screwed. Never thought I'd need his services personally. "Harold, slow down," Marcus said when I started explaining. "You're telling me your daughter-in-law gave you a pie that might be poisoned, and your granddaughter, who supposedly can't speak, just told you about it?" "That's exactly what I'm telling you." A long pause. "Don't touch the pie. Don't confront anyone. Take photos of everything. The pie, the packaging, any notes or evidence. And Harold, document Lily's statement. Write down exactly what she said, word for word, while it's fresh. What about calling the police? Not yet. We need proof first. A pie in a fridge isn't evidence of attempted murder. It's dessert. We need toxicology. And we need Lily's testimony documented properly, ideally with a child psychologist present. I found Virginia's phone and started photographing everything, the pie from every angle, the glass dish Tiffany had handed me with that strange look in her eyes, the note we found in Lily's backpack. Then I did something Virginia didn't know about. While she was upstairs getting Lily settled into bed, I searched the guest room where Derek and Tiffany usually stay when they visit. It's really Derek's old room. We never changed it much, kept his trophies on the shelf, his old posters on the wall. He hadn't been that boy in years, but I suppose some part of me still hoped. In the closet, behind a stack of old board games, I found a manila folder. Inside were documents, legal documents, a power of attorney form with Virginia's name on it, granting full financial control to Tiffany Coleman. The signature at the bottom looked like Virginia's. It wasn't. I've seen my wife's handwriting every day for 40 years. This was close, but not quite right. There was also a quitclaim deed. Our house, transferring ownership from us to Derek and Tiffany Coleman. The date on both documents was the following Monday. I sat on Derek's old bed, holding papers that proved my son and his wife were planning to steal everything we owned. And if the pie had worked, we wouldn't have been alive to contest it. I thought about Derek at 10 years old, running to meet me at the door. I thought about teaching him to ride a bike, to throw a baseball, to be a man. Somewhere along the way, I'd failed. Or maybe I hadn't failed. Maybe Tiffany had just been better at manipulation than I was at parenting. Virginia found me there 20 minutes later. She didn't say anything at first, just sat down beside me and looked at the documents. She forged my signature, Virginia said quietly. Yes. They were going to take everything. The house, our savings. And we'd be dead, so we couldn't fight it. Yes. Virginia took my hand. Her fingers were cold. Harold, what are we going to do? I looked at her. This woman who had been my partner through everything, who had raised our son with me, who had loved and trusted and believed in family. And I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Not fear, not sadness. Fury. We're going to destroy them, I said. Legally. Completely. They're going to lose everything they tried to take from us. And then some. The documents are dated for next week. Then we have until Monday to get our evidence together. Virginia nodded slowly. Marcus can help with the legal side, but we need proof about the pie. Real, scientific proof. He mentioned a toxicologist. Call him first thing tomorrow, whatever it costs. I looked at my wife of 40 years. In the dim light of our son's childhood bedroom, surrounded by evidence of his betrayal, I fell in love with her all over again. You know, I said, most couples our age are worried about their retirement portfolios. We're planning a counterattack against our own son. Virginia almost smiled. Almost. We're not like most couples. No, we're not. We went to bed that night without sleeping, just lay there in the dark, holding hands, listening on to the sounds of the house we'd built our lives in, the house someone wanted to steal. Tomorrow, we would start fighting back. The next morning, I woke before dawn. Harold was already up. I could smell coffee brewing. Some things don't change, even when your world is falling apart. I found Lily in the kitchen with him. She was eating pancakes, actual chocolate chip pancakes, and she was talking, telling Harold about her favorite book, about a stray cat she'd been feeding near their house, about how she wished she had a dog someday. 4 years of words pouring out like she was making up for lost time. Harold caught my eye over her head. His expression was soft, in a way I rarely see. The gruff exterior, cracked just enough to show the gentle man underneath. He loves that little girl. We both do. And now we were going to fight for her. Good morning, sweetheart, I said, kissing the top of Lily's head. Did you sleep well? Better than ever, Grandma. It's so quiet here. At home, Mommy and Daddy yell a lot at night. I felt my heart clench. Well, you can have all the quiet you want here. After breakfast, Harold left to meet with Marcus. They had calls to make, arrangements to organize. My job was different. Marcus had given us permission to record Lily's statement. Arizona is a one-party consent state for recordings, and as her temporary guardian, I could consent on her behalf. But he warned me to be careful. Leading questions could invalidate her testimony. I needed to let her tell her own story. So I did. We sat in the living room, just the two of us, with my phone recording discreetly on the coffee table. I didn't push, I didn't prompt. I just asked her to tell me about her life at home, and I listened. What I heard broke my heart. Lily told me about the rules. No talking to grandparents, no telling anyone about home, no making friends. She told me about the punishments, being locked in her room, having toys taken away, being called stupid and worthless. And she told me about the pie. I was supposed to be asleep, Lily said, her small voice steady despite the subject matter. But I heard them in the kitchen. Mommy had the pill bottle from your bathroom, Grandma, the one with the orange lid. She was crushing the pills with a spoon and mixing them into the cherry filling. My sleeping pills. Alprazolam. I'd been prescribed them 3 months ago for occasional insomnia. Tiffany must have taken them during her last visit. Daddy asked what she was doing, Lily continued, and Mommy said, she said it was better if he didn't know the details. She said by Sunday night, everything would be different. Better. Better. Our deaths would make things better for them. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. Instead, I kept my voice gentle and asked, what did Daddy say to that? Lily looked down at her hands. He didn't say anything. He just walked away. That hurt more than anything else. My son, my Derek, he'd known something was wrong, maybe even known exactly what Tiffany was planning, and he'd walked away. By late afternoon, Harold returned with news. Marcus had found a forensic toxicologist, Dr. Elena Sandoval, at the Maricopa County Crime Lab. She agreed to run an emergency analysis on the pie for $2,400, payable up front. That's a lot of money, I said. It's evidence, Harold replied. It's proof, and it's worth every penny. He was right. Of course he was right. I also made a call of my own. Dr. Karen Mitchell, a child psychologist recommended by Marcus, agreed to see Lily on Monday for a formal evaluation. If this went to court, and it would, we'd need professional documentation of her psychological state. That evening, after Lily was in bed, Harold and I sat on the back patio. The Arizona sky was putting on its usual show, oranges and purples fading into deep blue. The toxicology results should come back within 48 hours, Harold said. Harold was quiet for a moment. Virginia, are we ready for this? Once we start, there's no going back. Derek will be destroyed. Tiffany will go to prison. Lily will lose both her parents. Lily already lost her parents, I said quietly. Years ago. What she has now are captors, not family. I know. I keep thinking about that little boy who used to run to meet me at the door. I took his hand. That boy is gone, Harold. Maybe he never existed the way we thought he did. But Lily is real, and she's here, and she needs us to protect her. He squeezed my fingers. You're right. You're always right. I know. He almost laughed at that. Almost. We sat in silence, watching the stars emerge. My phone buzzed. A text from a Las Vegas area code. I opened it. Hi, Mom. How's Lily doing? Hope you and Dad enjoyed the pie. Can't wait to see you when we get back. XOXO, Tiffany. I showed it to Harold. His jaw tightened. She's checking, he said. She wants to know if it worked. Before I could respond, the phone buzzed again. A call this time. The same Las Vegas number. Harold and I looked at each other. Then I answered, Hello? Virginia, it's Tiffany. Her voice was honey-sweet. Is everything okay? How's Lily? And did you and Harold try the pie? I felt Harold's hand on my shoulder. Steady. Grounding. Everything's fine, Tiffany, I said, keeping my voice light. Lily's been wonderful, and the pie looks delicious. We're saving it for a special occasion. A pause on the other end. Just a beat too long. Oh, well, don't wait too long. Cherries spoil quickly. I'm sure we'll get to it soon. Make sure you both have some. It's my grandmother's recipe. Very rich, very effective. Effective. What a word choice. We will, dear. Enjoy Las Vegas. I hung up. My hands were shaking. Harold pulled me close. She's worried. She expected us to eat it Friday night. She'll find out soon enough why we're still alive, I said. Somewhere in Las Vegas, our son and his wife were probably celebrating their anticipated inheritance. They had no idea what was coming. The next morning, I woke up with a mission. The pie was sitting in our refrigerator like a ticking time bomb, and I needed to get it to someone who could tell us exactly how much of that bomb our daughter-in-law had packed into her grandmother's recipe. Dr. Elena Sandoval worked at the Maricopa County Forensic Laboratory. Marcus had arranged an emergency consultation. Apparently, when you mention potential poisoning and elderly couple, labs find room in their schedule. Dr. Sandoval was a no-nonsense woman in her late 40s. She took the sealed container I handed her without blinking. "You've preserved the chain of custody well," she said, noting the photographs, the gloves I'd worn, the sealed bag. Most people would have thrown it out or confronted the person who made it. My friend Marcus has good instincts, and my wife is a nurse. She knows how to preserve evidence. Smart woman. Dr. Sandoval wrote something on a form. I can run a full toxicology panel. Results in 48 hours. The rush fee is $2,400. I didn't hesitate. Done. She looked up at me. Mr. Coleman, I've been doing this job for 20 years. If this pie contains what you think it contains... She paused. You're handling this better than most. I'm just doing what needs to be done. When I got home, Lily was waiting for me at the door. She'd never done that before. Not in 4 years of visits. But now that she could speak, now that she wasn't living under Tiffany's threats, she was becoming a different child. The child she should have been all along. Grandpa, Grandma said you went on a secret mission. I scooped her up, pretending to stagger under her weight. A secret mission to fight the forces of evil. Very dangerous. I almost didn't make it back. She giggled. The sound was like music after 4 years of silence. Virginia appeared in the hallway, smiling, but I could see the question in her eyes. I gave her a subtle nod. It's done. That afternoon, I went to my workshop and started carving. A horse. Lily had once pointed at a horse figurine in a store window. Tiffany had yanked her away, telling her she didn't deserve nice things. Lily deserved every nice thing in the world. Around 5 o'clock, she wandered into the garage and watched me work. What are you making? A horse. For a very special girl I know. Her eyes went wide. For me? Well, I don't know any other special girls around here, do you? She sat on the stool next to my workbench, legs swinging, and we talked. Really talked. For the first time ever. She told me about school, how she had no friends because Tiffany didn't allow playdates, about how Daddy was always tired and never played with her, about how Mommy checked her backpack every day to make sure she hadn't written any notes. She was afraid you'd tell us something, I said quietly. Lily nodded. She said if I ever talked to you, she'd send me away, to a place for bad kids, and I'd never see you and Grandma again. I set down my chisel. Lily, can I tell you something? Yes? You are the bravest person I know. Braver than me, braver than Grandma, braver than anyone. What you did, warning us about the pie, that took more courage than most grown-ups have. She looked down at her hands. I was scared. Being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means doing the right thing, even when you're terrified. She thought about that for a moment. Then, Grandpa, what's going to happen to Mommy and Daddy? I chose my words carefully. They did some very bad things, sweetheart. And when people do bad things, there are consequences. But no matter what happens, Grandma and I are going to make sure you're safe. Forever. Promise? I promise. That evening, after Lily was in bed, Virginia and I sat on the patio again. It was becoming our war room, this little patch of desert garden where we planned our counterattack. We need to file for emergency temporary custody, Virginia said, before they come back from Las Vegas. Marcus said we can do it based on Lily's testimony and the psychologist's evaluation. Dr. Mitchell can see her tomorrow? Yes, first thing in the morning. I stared out at the darkening sky. Virginia, are we ready for what comes next? Once we file those papers, once the toxicology comes back, there's no going back. Derek will never forgive us. She reached over and took my hand. Derek made his choices. He chose Tiffany over his own daughter. Over us. We're not destroying our family, Harold. He already did that. We're just protecting what's left. She was right. She's always right. My phone buzzed. Marcus. Harold, I've had my paralegal running background on those documents you found. The power of attorney, the quitclaim deed. And Virginia's signature was definitely forged. We compared it to actual documents she's signed, bank forms, medical records. It's not even close. A professional forger would have done better. This looks like Tiffany traced a signature from somewhere and hoped no one would look too closely. So it's criminal. Forgery in the first degree. That's a Class 4 felony in Arizona. 3 to 12 years. I let that sink in. 3 to 12 years. For forging my wife's signature. And that was before we even got the toxicology results. What do we do now? Now we build the case. The poisoning, the forgery, the child abuse. We're not just fighting for custody anymore, Harold. We're building a criminal prosecution. After I hung up, I told Virginia everything. She listened without interrupting, her face pale in the moonlight. They were going to steal our house, she said finally. Our savings. Everything we worked for. And we would have been dead, unable to stop them. Yes, she was quiet for a long moment. Then, good thing we have a brave granddaughter. I couldn't argue with that.
The next morning, I drove Lily to Dr. Karen Mitchell's office. The child psychologist had cleared her schedule after Marcus explained the situation. Potential case of forced selective mutism combined with psychological abuse were the words that apparently moved mountains. Dr. Mitchell's office was warm and inviting. Lily relaxed the moment we walked in. Mrs. Coleman, I'd like to speak with Lily alone first, Dr. Mitchell said. Standard procedure. I squeezed Lily's hand. I'll be right outside, sweetheart. I know, Grandma. The next 90 minutes were the longest of my life. I sat in the waiting room flipping through magazines I didn't read, checking my phone obsessively for updates from Harold. Finally, Dr. Mitchell emerged. Her expression was carefully neutral, but I'd spent enough years reading people's faces to see the concern underneath. Mrs. Coleman, could you step into my office? Lily was sitting on a small couch clutching a stuffed elephant Dr. Mitchell had given her. She looked tired but somehow lighter, as if a weight had been lifted. I won't discuss the specifics of what Lily shared with me. That's confidential between patient and therapist, Dr. Mitchell began. But I can tell you my professional assessment. I nodded, bracing myself. Lily does not have selective mutism. She does not have any speech disorder. What she has is a trauma response to sustained psychological abuse. She was conditioned, deliberately and systematically, to remain silent in certain situations, under threat of severe punishment. I felt my hands trembling. I'd suspected this, of course, but hearing it from a professional made it horribly, undeniably real. The good news, Dr. Mitchell continued, is that Lily is remarkably resilient. She's already showing signs of recovery now that she feels safe. With proper support and therapy, I believe she'll make a full recovery. And the documentation for court. I'll have a full written assessment ready within 48 hours. And Mrs. Coleman, she paused, I'm prepared to testify. What was done to this child was abuse, pure and simple. The court needs to know that. I thanked her, collected Lily and drove home in a daze. My mind kept circling back to the same thought. How did we miss this? How did we let this happen for 4 years? But I knew the answer. We'd trusted Tiffany's explanation. We'd believed the lie about selective mutism because the alternative was too terrible to consider. We'd wanted so badly to believe our son had married a good person that we'd blinded ourselves to the truth. Never again. When we got home, Harold met us at the door. His face was tense with barely contained emotion. The toxicology results came in early, he said quietly, glancing at Lily. Maybe we should talk after... Lily, sweetheart, I said, why don't you go play in the backyard for a bit? Grandpa and I need to talk about grown-up things. She looked between us, understanding more than any 9-year-old should. Is it about the pie? I knelt down to her level. Yes, baby, it is. Okay. She hugged me tightly, then went outside. Through the kitchen window, I watched her settle onto the swing Harold had built years ago, kicking her feet gently in the Arizona sun. Tell me, I said to Harold. He handed me a printout. Dr. Sandoval's report. I read it 3 times to make sure I understood. Alprazolam, detected at a concentration of approximately 45 milligrams per serving. The therapeutic dose for anxiety is 0.25 to 0.5 milligrams. The lethal dose for an adult is approximately 3 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. 45 milligrams per serving, I whispered. That's 15 times the lethal dose, Harold finished. If we'd each eaten a slice, we would have died, probably within hours. It would have looked like we'd overdosed on your medication, an accidental double dosing by a confused elderly couple. I sat down heavily. My legs wouldn't hold me. She tried to murder us, I said. Our daughter-in-law actually tried to murder us. Harold sat beside me and took my hands. Yes, she did. And Derek, we don't know how much he knew. About the pie, specifically. But he knew about the documents. He was part of the plan to steal everything. I thought about my son, the baby I'd nursed, the toddler who'd taken his first steps in this very kitchen, the young man who'd stood at the altar with Tiffany 5 years ago. How had that boy become someone who would participate in robbing his own parents? What happens now, I asked. Now we wait. Derek and Tiffany come back tomorrow. We act normal. We don't let them know what we know. And then? Then Marcus and I meet with Detective Nathan Powell. He works in the Elder Crimes Unit at Phoenix PD. Once he sees the toxicology report, the forged documents, Dr. Mitchell's assessment of Lily, this becomes a criminal case. I nodded slowly. We're really doing this. We have to. If we don't stop them now, they'll try again. He was right. Tiffany had shown us exactly who she was. A woman who would poison her in-laws, abuse her own daughter, and forge documents to steal an inheritance. I looked out the window at Lily on the swing, her hair catching the afternoon light. That little girl had saved our lives. Now it was our turn to save hers. Okay, I said. We do it. All of it. We take them down. Harold squeezed my hands. Together? Always together. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to Harold's steady breathing beside me. Tomorrow, our son would walk through our front door, expecting to find us dead. Instead, he would find us very much alive and ready. The confrontation was coming. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I wasn't afraid. I was ready.
The next morning, Marcus and I drove to the Phoenix Police Department. Detective Nathan Powell worked in the Elder Crimes Unit, a specialized division that handles fraud, abuse, and crimes against seniors. Marcus had called ahead, so Powell was expecting us. Detective Powell turned out to be a solid man in his early 50s, with tired eyes that had clearly seen too much. He shook my hand firmly and led us to a small conference room. "Mr. Reynolds has given me the broad strokes," he said, settling into a chair. "But I'd like to hear it from you, Mr. Coleman. Start from the beginning." So I did. I told him about the pie, about Lily's warning, about the forged documents. I told him about 4 years of a child being forced into silence, threatened into pretending she couldn't speak. I told him about the toxicology report, 45 milligrams of alprazolam per serving. Powell's expression remained professional throughout, but I saw his jaw tighten when I mentioned the lethal dose. "May I see the documentation?" Marcus opened his briefcase and spread everything on the table. The toxicology report from Dr. Sandoval, the photographs of the pie, the dish, the packaging, the forged power of attorney and quitclaim deed, Dr. Mitchell's psychological assessment of Lily, the audio recording of Lily's testimony, the threatening note we'd found in her backpack. Powell went through each item methodically. He spent a long time on the toxicology report. 15 times the lethal dose," he said quietly. "She wasn't taking any chances." "No, she wasn't." He looked up at me. "Mr. Coleman, I've been working this unit for 11 years. I've seen children try to steal from their parents. Spouses try to eliminate each other for insurance money. Caregivers who abuse the people they're supposed to protect. But this—" He shook his head. "This is one of the most calculated attempts I've seen." "What happens now?" "Now I take this to the district attorney. With what you've given me, the toxicology, the forged documents, the child's testimony, the psychological evaluation, we have enough for multiple charges: attempted murder, forgery in the first degree, elder abuse, child abuse. How long until you can make an arrest? I need to file for a warrant. Given the severity of the charges and the quality of the evidence, I can probably have it approved within 48 hours. But Mr. Coleman, he leaned forward, I need you to act normal until then. Don't tip them off. Don't confront them. If they suspect we're onto them, they might run, or destroy evidence. I nodded. They're coming back from Las Vegas this afternoon, around 2 o'clock. Can you do it? Can you look your son and his wife in the eye and pretend you don't know what they tried to do? I thought about it. Could I? Could I watch Tiffany walk into my house, smile at her, make small talk, all while knowing she'd tried to murder me and my wife? I can do anything I need to do to protect my granddaughter, I said. Powell nodded slowly. All right. Go home. Wait for them. Act normal. And I'll call you the moment the warrant is approved. Virginia was waiting for me when I got home. I told her everything, and we spent the next few hours preparing ourselves mentally for what was coming. At exactly 2:15, Derek's car pulled into our driveway. I watched through the window as they got out. Tiffany was tan from the Vegas sun, wearing new sunglasses that probably cost more than our electric bill. Derek looked the same as always, tired, slightly confused, trailing behind his wife like a shadow. They walked through the front door without knocking. Tiffany's eyes scanned the room immediately, landing on Lily, who was sitting on the couch with Virginia. There's my girl, Tiffany said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. Did you miss Mommy? Lily pressed closer to Virginia. She didn't answer. The old Lily wouldn't have been able to answer. But this Lily chose not to. Tiffany's smile flickered, just for a moment. So, she said, turning to me, how was your weekend? Did you enjoy the pie? I kept my face neutral. Oh, the pie. Yes, we decided to save it for a special occasion. Something shifted in her eyes. The smile stayed fixed, but I saw the calculation behind it. Really? You didn't eat it? We're saving it, I repeated. But cherries don't keep well, I told you that. Her voice was still sweet, but there was an edge to it now. You should really eat it tonight, before it goes bad. I'm sure it's fine. Tiffany's composure cracked slightly. She walked toward the kitchen, her heels clicking on the tile. Let me just check on it. Make sure it's still good. She opened the refrigerator. The pie wasn't there. Of course it wasn't. It was sitting in an evidence locker at the Maricopa County Forensic Laboratory. Tiffany stood there for a long moment, staring at the empty shelf where the pie should have been. When she turned around, her face was pale. Where is it? Her voice was different now, harder. Where's the pie? I shrugged. It looked a little off. We threw it out. You threw it out? Is that a problem? Her eyes darted around the room, calculating, trying to figure out what had gone wrong. I watched her with a kind of grim satisfaction. She'd expected to come home to dead in-laws and an inheritance. Instead, she was standing in my kitchen, watching her perfect plan crumble. No, she said finally. No problem, it's just, I worked hard on that pie. I'm sure you did. Something in my tone must have caught her attention. She stared at me, really stared, and I saw the exact moment understanding began to dawn. She ran back to the refrigerator, yanked it open again, searched every shelf as if the pie might be hiding behind the milk. Where is it? She screamed. What did you do with it?
I watched Tiffany unravel with a strange sense of detachment. All those years of her perfect composure, her careful manipulation, her cold smiles. And here she was, screaming in my kitchen because a pie had gone missing. Not just any pie, of course. The pie that was supposed to kill us. Tiffany, what's wrong? Derek looked genuinely confused. It's just a pie. She whirled on him. Shut up. You don't understand anything. Harold stepped forward, his face calm. Tiffany, is there something special about that pie we should know about? The room went silent. I could see her mind racing, trying to figure out how much we knew, what had gone wrong, how to salvage this. No, of course not. I worked hard on it. My grandmother's recipe. She forced a smile, but it looked more like a grimace. I'm just disappointed you didn't try it. We didn't try it, I said, speaking for the first time. Because our granddaughter warned us not to. The effect was immediate. Tiffany's head snapped toward Lily, who was still pressed against my side on the couch. Her eyes were wide with a mixture of rage and disbelief. "What do you mean, warned you? She can't talk. She has selective mutism." "No," I said quietly. "She doesn't. She never did. You just made her too afraid to speak." Tiffany's face contorted. She took a step toward Lily, and I felt my granddaughter flinch. "What did you tell them?" she hissed. "What lies did you make up?" Harold moved between Tiffany and the couch. His voice was ice. "Don't you dare take another step toward her. She's my daughter. I'll talk to her however I want." "Not anymore, you won't." Harold's tone was the one he used when firing someone from the restaurant. Calm, final, absolutely certain. "Lily told us everything. About the rules. About the punishments. About you crushing pills into a pie and telling Derek that by Sunday night, everything would be different." Derek's face went white. "What? Tiffany, what is he talking about?" But Tiffany wasn't looking at her husband. She was looking at Lily, and the expression on her face made my blood run cold. "You little—" She lunged toward the couch. I moved on instinct, pulling Lily behind me. Harold grabbed Tiffany's arm and stopped her cold. "Touch her, and I'll have you arrested right now," he said. "Actually, you know what? You're going to be arrested anyway. We just haven't decided on the timing." The room froze. "What are you talking about?" Derek's voice was shaking. "Dad, what is going on?" "Your wife tried to kill us, Derek." Harold's voice was flat, matter-of-fact. "She stole your mother's medication, crushed it into that pie, and hoped we'd be dead by the time you got home from Vegas. 45 milligrams of alprazolam per serving, 15 times the lethal dose." Derek looked at Tiffany. That's not true, right? Tiff? Tell them that's not true." But Tiffany wasn't denying anything. She was staring at Harold with pure hatred in her eyes. "You can't prove anything. You threw the pie away." Harold smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. "Did I say we threw it away? I said it looked off. I didn't say where it went." I watched as the colour drained from Tiffany's face. Where is it?" "In an evidence locker at the Maricopa County Forensic Laboratory. We had it tested. The toxicology report is quite detailed. Dr. Elena Sandoval was very thorough." Tiffany's composure shattered completely. She wrenched free from Harold's grip and grabbed Lily's arm, pulling her off the couch. "We're leaving. Now. Lily, get your things." I stood up. "Lily isn't going anywhere with you. She's my daughter. And we've filed for emergency custody based on the psychological evaluation, the evidence of abuse, and the fact that you tried to murder her grandparents." I kept my voice steady, drawing on every ounce of professional calm I'd developed in 28 years of dealing with crisis situations. "You're not taking her anywhere." Tiffany's eyes were wild now. She looked at Derek. "We need to leave. We need to get out of here. Now." "Tiff, what did you do?" Derek was backing away from her like she was a stranger. "Did you really— the pie? Did you really try to?" "I did it for us," she was screaming now. "For our future. They were just going to sit on all that money, let it rot while we struggled. It should have been ours. It will be ours." Derek looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. Maybe he was. Tiffany grabbed his arm. "We need to go, before they call the police." "Too late," Harold said. "Detective Nathan Powell, Phoenix PD Elder Crimes Unit. He has all the evidence. Toxicology, forged documents, Lily's testimony, the psychologist report. He's filing for an arrest warrant as we speak." For a moment no one moved. Then Tiffany released Derek's arm, straightened her spine, and walked toward the door. Her face had gone blank, that cold, calculating mask she wore so well. At the threshold, she turned back. Her eyes found mine. "You'll regret this," she said. Her voice was calm now, controlled. "I'll fight this. I'll win. And when I do, I'm going to take everything from you. Your house, your savings, your granddaughter, everything." Harold stepped up beside me. Our shoulders touched, united. "You're welcome to try," he said. Tiffany held his gaze for a long moment. Then she walked out, dragging Derek behind her. The door slammed. Lily was shaking. I pulled her into my arms and held her tight. "Is it over?" she whispered. I stroked her hair, looking at Harold over her head. His face was grim but determined. "No, sweetheart," I said honestly. "Not yet. But it will be, I promise." Through the window, I watched Tiffany's car peel out of the driveway. She was running scared now. But scared animals are dangerous animals. This wasn't over, not by a long shot.
2 days later, Detective Powell called. "Mr. Coleman, the warrant's been approved. We're executing it tomorrow morning at 7. I thought you'd want to know." I thanked him and hung up. Virginia was watching me from across the kitchen, Lily between us at the table working on a drawing. "Tomorrow?" Virginia asked. "Tomorrow." That night, I barely slept. Not from nerves, from anticipation. I know that sounds cold. Maybe it is. But when someone tries to murder you and your wife, when they terrorize your granddaughter into silence for 4 years, when they forge documents to steal everything you've built, you want to see justice done. You need to see it. At 6:30 the next morning, I got in my truck and drove to Derek's neighborhood. I parked down the street, far enough away not to interfere, close enough to watch. At exactly 7 o'clock, 3 police cruisers pulled up to my son's house. Detective Powell was in the lead car. Officers emerged, walked up the path, knocked on the door. Derek opened it in his bathrobe, coffee cup in hand. I could see his confusion even from a distance. Then Powell showed him the warrant, and I watched my son's face change. Confusion to shock, to something like terror. Tiffany appeared behind him, still in her silk pajamas. She looked immaculate even at 7 in the morning. Some people never stop performing. Powell read her the charges. Attempted murder in the 1st degree. Forgery. Elder abuse. Fraud. For a moment, Tiffany just stood there, frozen. Then she started talking. Fast, desperate. The words tumbling out. I couldn't hear what she was saying, but I knew the type. Excuses. Denials. Explanations. None of it would matter. The evidence was too strong. When the officer stepped forward with the handcuffs, Tiffany finally broke. She screamed, a raw, ugly sound that carried all the way down the street. She tried to run back into the house, but the officers caught her, restrained her, cuffed her hands behind her back. They led her to the cruiser. She was crying now, mascara running down her face, that perfect composure shattered beyond repair. As they put her in the back seat, she looked around wildly, and her eyes found me. Even from 50 yards away, I could see the hatred, the accusation, as if I were the one who had done something wrong. I held her gaze, didn't flinch, didn't smile, just watched. The cruiser door closed, and Tiffany Coleman disappeared behind the tinted glass. Derek was standing on the front lawn, still in his bathrobe, watching his wife being driven away. An officer was talking to him, explaining that he wasn't under arrest yet, but he shouldn't leave town, that there would be more questions. My phone buzzed. "Derek," I answered. "Dad!" His voice was cracked, broken. "Dad, they took Tiffany. They said attempted murder. This is some kind of mistake." "It's not a mistake, Derek. But she wouldn't. Dad, please, you have to help us." I thought about all the things I could say, all the anger, the betrayal, the grief, but in the end I kept it simple. "No, Derek, it's not a mistake. Your wife tried to kill us. She poisoned that pie with enough medication to stop our hearts. And you—" I paused, choosing my words carefully. "You might not have known about the pie specifically, but you knew about the documents. You knew about the plan to steal our house, our savings. You stood by while your wife abused your daughter into silence." "I didn't know about the pie. I swear, Dad, I didn't know." "Maybe you didn't. Maybe you just didn't want to know. Either way, you made your choices. You chose her over us. You chose money over family. Now you live with the consequences. Dad, please. Derek." My voice was cold but fair. That's all I had left to give him. You had a daughter who needed you, parents who loved you, a family that would have done anything for you, and you threw it all away for a woman who saw us as obstacles, to be eliminated. That's on you. Not on us. Silence on the other end. Then quietly, "What's going to happen to Lily?" "Lily is staying with us. We have emergency custody, and based on everything that's happened, we'll be filing for permanent guardianship. You can't just take my daughter." "We're not taking her, Derek. We're protecting her. Something you should have done years ago." More silence. Then a sound I hadn't heard from my son since he was a child. Sobbing. "I'm sorry," he choked out. "Dad, I'm so sorry. I thought if we just had more money." "Money doesn't make you happy, Derek. Family does. And you threw yours away." I hung up. For a long moment, I sat in my truck, staring at the house where my son lived, the house where my granddaughter had been silenced for 4 years, the house where a woman had planned our deaths. Then I started the engine and drove home. Virginia was waiting for me in the kitchen. She took one look at my face and opened her arms. I walked into them and held her tight. "Is it done?" she asked. "It's done. She's in custody." "And Derek?" He called, begging, crying. I pulled back to look at her face. I told him the truth, all of it. Virginia nodded slowly. "How do you feel?" I thought about it. How did I feel? Relieved? Triumphant? Sad? "I feel like I just buried my son," I said finally. The son I thought I had. Maybe the son I never really had. Virginia touched my face. "We still have Lily." "Yes, we do." From the other room I heard small footsteps. Lily appeared in the doorway, her hair mussed from sleep, clutching the stuffed elephant Dr. Mitchell had given her. "Grandpa, is everything okay?" I looked at this brave, wonderful girl who had saved our lives, who had broken 4 years of enforced silence to protect us, who deserved so much better than the parents she'd been given. "Everything's going to be okay," I said. "I promise."
7 months passed. In that time, Tiffany's trial came and went. The evidence was overwhelming. The toxicology report, the forged documents, Lily's testimony, Dr. Mitchell's psychological evaluation. The prosecution presented a clear picture of a woman who had methodically planned to murder her in-laws for financial gain. Tiffany's defense tried everything. They claimed the pie was a mistake. They tried to discredit Lily's testimony. They even attempted to paint Harold and me as controlling grandparents who had turned our granddaughter against her mother. None of it worked. The jury took less than 4 hours to convict Tiffany Coleman of attempted murder in the first degree, forgery, elder abuse, and fraud. The judge sentenced her to 8 years in state prison. I was in the courtroom when the verdict was read. I watched Tiffany's face as the words sank in. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Her mask cracked, and I saw the real Tiffany underneath, not cold and calculating, but desperate and frightened. She looked at me as they led her away. Her eyes were empty, like she'd already given up. Derek's case was separate. He hadn't known about the poisoning, but he had known about the forged documents. He pleaded guilty to fraud and forgery in exchange for 2 years probation and community service. The court also revoked his parental rights. Based on Dr. Mitchell's testimony, the judge determined Derek had failed to protect his daughter. He would be allowed supervised visitation once a year, if Lily consented. So far, she hadn't. Harold and I were granted permanent guardianship of our granddaughter. Now, on a warm October afternoon, I sit on our back patio and watch Lily play in the yard. She's running through the sprinklers with Sunny, the golden retriever we got her 2 months ago. Her laughter echoes across the garden, mixing with the dog's happy barks. She laughs so much now. She talks constantly about school, about her friends, about everything. Sometimes I'll catch her mid-sentence and remember those years of silence. But then she'll give me one of her fierce hugs, or call me Grandma, with such love in her voice. And I remember. She's safe now. She's ours. Harold comes out onto the patio with 2 cups of coffee. He hands me one and settles into the chair beside me, watching Lily and Sunny chase each other around the cactus garden. "She's happy?" he says. "Yes, she is." We sit in comfortable silence for a while. This is our ritual now. Morning coffee on the patio, watching our granddaughter bloom. I got a letter from Derek today, Harold says quietly. I look at him. What did it say? He's asking for forgiveness, saying he's changed, that he's in therapy, that he understands now what he did wrong. Do you believe him? Harold takes a long sip of his coffee. I don't know. Maybe. People can change, but... He trails off. But he let his wife silence his daughter for 4 years. He was ready to steal everything we had. Harold's voice is heavy. Even if he's changed, I don't know if I can forgive that. I reach over and take his hand. You don't have to decide today. You don't have to decide ever if you don't want to. He squeezes my fingers. I know. Lily spots us on the patio and comes running over, Sunny bounding behind her. Her face is flushed with joy, her hair wild from running. Grandma, Grandpa, watch what Sunny can do. She puts Sunny through his paces. Sit, shake, lie down, and we applaud dutifully. That's wonderful, sweetheart, I say. You've trained him so well. Lily beams. Then her expression turns serious. Grandma, can I ask you something? Of course. At school today, my teacher asked about my family. I told her I live with my grandparents. She pauses, fidgeting with Sunny's collar. Is it okay if I call you Mom and Dad sometimes? Not all the time, just sometimes. I feel tears prick my eyes. I look at Harold and I see he's feeling the same thing. Oh, sweetheart. I pull her into a hug. You can call us whatever feels right to you. We love you no matter what. Lily holds on tight. I love you too. Both of you, so much. Harold's hand finds mine behind Lily's back. Our fingers intertwine. Later that evening, after Lily is in bed and Sunny is snoring by her feet, Harold and I sit on the patio again. The Arizona sky is putting on its show, streaks of orange and purple fading into deep blue, stars beginning to emerge. We did it, I say softly. We actually did it. We did. Harold's voice is warm. Though I have to say, this isn't how I pictured our retirement. I laugh. No, I thought we'd be travelling, maybe taking a cruise. Instead, we're raising a 9-year-old and training a puppy. Wouldn't trade it for anything. We sit in comfortable silence, watching the stars come out. I think about everything we've been through. The shock of Lily's revelation, the horror of the poisoned pie, the determination to fight back, and through it all, this man beside me. My partner, my husband, of 40 years. Harold, I say, thank you, for standing beside me through all of this. He turns to look at me. Virginia, I've been standing beside you for 40 years. This was just a more exciting chapter. I smile. We make a good team. The best. He leans over and kisses my temple. We always have. We always will. I rest my head on his shoulder, breathing in the warm Arizona evening. We built this life together. We protected it together. And now we're rebuilding it, with a little girl who saved our lives and a future we never expected. We made it, Harold, I whisper. We actually made it. Together, he says. We always make it together. And sitting there, watching the stars emerge over the desert, my hand in his and our granddaughter, safe inside. I know it's true. Whatever comes next, we'll face it the way we've faced everything for 40 years. Together.
If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.